One of baseball's most iconic teams is flying the W after scoring a legal victory. The Chicago Cubs' home, Wrigley Field, is a historic ballpark that is more than a century old. It is a centerpiece in the city's Wrigleyville neighborhood.
And that's kind of what is at issue right now. You see some of the taller buildings overlooking the field actually sell tickets so fans can get a bird's eye view of Cubs games and even concerts. The Cubs, though, are crying foul. The team sued one company, Wrigley View Rooftop, in 2024 for not getting a cut of ticket sales like it did from a previous agreement that had expired. The Cubs say the Rooftop is profiting off of their product. Now a judge is allowing the team's lawsuit to go forward. Let's discuss with legal analyst and senior sports legal reporter for Sportico, Michael McCann. Michael, thank you so much for being with us. It's safe to say that fans have been watching Cubs games from rooftops for a long time. So why is the team taking issue with this now?
Sure, Boris. So they're taking issue with it now because in 2024, their contracts with a number of buildings expired, and they no longer want to do deals with basically local businesses that are overlooking Wrigley Field. There was a revenue sharing arrangement that they previously had that ended. They now argue that Wrigley View Rooftop selling tickets in a way that provides unjust enrichment and also misappropriates the team's intellectual property and real property rights.
So we got a statement from the attorneys representing Wrigley View Rooftop saying, "We appreciate the judge's ruling on this preliminary issue, and we look forward to participating in the remainder of the case." How do they proceed now with this ruling? Where does this go?
Yeah, Brianna, so the defense argument is basically going to be, the Cubs, you have your ballpark, you have Wrigley Field, but you built it in a city where there are tall buildings and you don't have a dome, right? So this is sort of part of the nature of having an open facility in an urban area, is that there is the opportunity for people nearby to look in. And that's been one of the central arguments, that essentially the Cubs do have a right to a live broadcast, but it's within the facility itself or through broadcast or through radio, internet. But in terms of physical viewing, it doesn't extend that far. Clearly, Judge Coleman isn't buying that yet. She wrote that that argument may have some resonance in terms of the fact that Wrigley View Rooftop has the ability to govern its own property, but they're selling tickets when there are Cubs games, and that it looks like the timing of those tickets is synchronized with when there are events in Wrigley Field.
CNN reached out to the Cubs for comment. They told us they do not comment on pending litigation. It sounds like they have a winnable case.
So far, right? So it's early. It's not necessarily over, but I would say the Cubs have an argument. The Cubs have some precedent. There's a case from the 1930s involving the Pittsburgh Pirates, where there was a litigation against a radio station, an unauthorized radio station that had basically observers near the ballpark looking in and then doing play-by-play by having people peeking in. And the judge said, you can't do that. The Pirates have a right to live sports. They have ownership over this. Now, I think there's an open-ended question, shouldn't this end by resolution? Couldn't they work something out like they had done before, where the Cubs get some of the revenue? And it wouldn't shock me if this ends in a settlement rather than going to trial.
How do Cubs fans feel about all of this?
Well, I imagine most people are looking at this saying it's an interesting legal question, right? And it is an interesting legal question. I don't know if Cubs fans, necessarily care that much about it. It does provide additional seating, and there are people that go to Wrigley View Rooftop that apparently have a great time. It's its own experience that's distinct from going to Wrigley Field, and that provides an outlet for fans to enjoy the experience. It's just one that the Cubs feel like is misappropriating their property and causing unjust enrichment.
So what comes next in the case?
The next in the case will be more pleadings, that it's not anywhere near being over. There will be discovery, there will be sharing of information. My guess is that there'll be talks of a settlement. I think that's probably where this will ultimately head, but it's at the stage now where there is discovery, meaning each side shares information. These two sides know each other pretty well, though, because there's been a relationship for a long time, so it's unlikely there are going to be too many hidden nuggets here. But my guess is that it's ultimately about figuring out a way to move forward where the Cubs get some of the revenue like they had before, Clearly, they haven't yet found that number yet, but my guess is that's where it ultimately lands.
All right, we'll be looking for that. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Breaking news to CNN.